Slaughter Hotel is a 1971 giallo film from director Fernando Di Leo. The movie opens at this mansion, which is an insane asylum for troubled women. Then, whoa, what happened? Did the cameraman trip? Over in Slaughter Hotel, the women are up all night, sleep all day. Not Dracula tries to get into the building through the front door, but someone turns on the light, which scares him away. Since every mansion has a creepy hidden entrance, he sneaks in through the back door. This guy's bringing capes back. He walks into the lobby of the asylum. No, not that asylum. Anyway, in the lobby, there are medieval weapons and an Iron Maiden. I don't think this place is up to code. Good thing they have all these weapons just hanging around, otherwise the killer would have nothing to work with. He pulls up an axe and gets ready for killing. He sees one of the ladies left her door open, and she sure is nude. The cameraman makes sure to give the audience a good, long, lingering look at her. She's having naughty dreams, so she hits the help buzzer. So the killer hides while the orderlies arrive. Okay, it's now the credits. I guess no one was killed? The credits drag on for way too long, and we eventually get to see the patients and nurses are out in the yard playing croquet. Security and everything in general seems pretty lax around here. Meanwhile, a husband and wife are driving down the road. Ruth is unstable, and so her husband has taken her to the rest home for a mental vacation. Proving that she needs help, she tries to kill them both. Back at the hospital, Nurse Helen puts some moves on Mara. Mara doesn't know why she's there, and the nurse doesn't either. The husband pulls up to the asylum. All right, hit the bricks, sister. I'm out.
I can never remember anything in those dreadful moments.
I'll be back on Monday.
She's standing there, and somehow, Peter Fonda is ready for her. No check-in or anything. They walk for a bit, and so she tries to murder him.
That's enough now.
All right, enough of that. You tried to kill me, and you've only been here for 2 minutes. Later on, everyone is inside relaxing. Is it such a good idea to give unstable people easy access to things that can be used as weapons? Like actual weapons? Just then, Dr. Clay arrives. Uh-oh, it's Klaus Kinski. Things are going to get more insane. The older doctor warns him he just admitted Ruth, who has extreme violent tendencies. Meanwhile, Anne the nymphomaniac goes out looking for a victim. She spots, oh, that's subtle. The doctor notices Anne is stalking groundskeeper Willie and puts a stop to it.
Don't you want to get well?
I just want to make love.
So in other words, she doesn't want to be happy. She wants to be horny. Anne goes inside and takes a very long shower in the shower room, which we watch in its entirety. Dr. Clay goes to talk to Cheryl and her husband. Apparently, she's there because she tried to kill her husband. But she's all better now. Anne is telling her husband she wants out, but he thinks she still needs help. He leaves, and apparently his motorcycle is 2 millimeters out of frame. That night, Mara is getting an extreme butt massage. HD really brings out the smallpox vaccine scars. After her husband rejected her, Anne is back on the prowl. There's got to be somebody I can bone around here. She sneaks out and attacks the groundskeeper. Anne strips completely naked to let him know that she means business. He deflects for about 30 seconds before giving in. While this is going on, the Cape Killer is back on the hunt. He beheads miscellaneous nurse and hides the body. Nurse Helen goes to visit Mara. The doctors notice that Anne's missing. Oh, I wonder where she could be. Dr. Clay is talking to Cheryl. They both seem to like each other. Cheryl tells him she's interested in pursuing a relationship with him after she gets out. The couple are getting ready for round 2 when the groundskeeper hears the orderlies. She won't leave, so the groundskeeper gives her the old pimp hand.
Be gone, fuck!
And runs into the arms of the orderlies and asks if anybody wants sloppy seconds. They aren't interested. Come on, you hussy, knock it off. The doctor can't believe what he's seeing. He yells at her and they all go inside. That night, Ruth's having flashbacks to earlier in the movie. The music in this is so loud, and then it inexplicably shuts off. I did not alter this. And then it kicks back in. This apparently is how it was supposed to be. Evil Cloak Guy is back at it. He decides to go with a dagger this time. He goes into Ruth's room where she is sound asleep. He's gonna stab her, but then he gives her the dagger. Then he takes off his mask. She wakes up and tries to kill him, so he strangles her. Well, really, he just kinda holds her head until she dies. Then he shakes her around a bit, so she doesn't scream or anything. Dr. Clay is stalking in the shadows. They really want us to think he's the killer. The driver finds the main room with lots of leftover booze, so he has himself a few drinks. Oh, that's good backwash. For some reason, he checks out the Iron Maiden and gets pushed in. Well, these people die very quietly. Not happy with 2 victims, the killer gets a sword and goes looking for number 3. He goes to Cheryl's room, but she's not there, so he smacks the mattress. Cheryl meets up with Dr. Clay. Mara decides to take a bath. Nurse Helen shows up to help. Now Helen makes her intentions known by finding the man in the boat. There doesn't seem to be a lot of therapy in this asylum, unless they only believe in sexual healing. Dr. Clay and Cheryl have a nice chat. She tells him she's leaving her husband. He then heads out to do his rounds. Anne is also having nightmare flashbacks, totally nude. Things go on for far too long until finally, what? Let's see, how do I explain this? She shows the audience where you could find a big Montana. The killer, who is totally not Dr. Clay, gets an axe. Anne continues her pillow humping. The killer goes into Anne's room, takes off his mask, and wakes her up. She tries to seduce him, but he kills her instead. Again, these are the quietest victims. You think being butchered with an axe would elicit at least one scream. The killer goes back to the weapons rack and picks up a crossbow. The audio turns off. Holy moly! I'm not even exaggerating. This is one of the most explicit scenes I've seen in a movie that isn't porn. Mara puts on some music and dances around for way too long. They hear a noise, and Mara looks outside the window. The audio cuts out again. The killer shoots and...
Headshot.
Well, neck shot. She's dead. Okay, finally someone screams. But the audio is out, so the only ones who hear it are in the movie. Nurse Helen took time to put her clothes back on before the doctors arrive.
Pull yourself together.
Compassion? What's that? The doctors chat, and Dr. Clay walks into the camera. They go to the main hall and find blood on the axe. Huh, leaving medieval weapons out in the open at an insane asylum was a bad idea? Who knew? Cheryl discovers someone in the Iron Maiden. The doctor then says the original title of the film.
This is the work of a psychopath, a cold-blooded beast.
He calls the police, and everyone goes looking for the killer, who is practicing a swing. The police show up and tell them they are all stupid. With the killer still on the premises, the police call for backup. Dr. Clay goes to tell Cheryl they're using her as bait for the killer. They let her wander the place alone, and then the audio cuts out again. The killer almost gets her, but she unmasks him, and it's her husband? He fights her off and escapes. He makes his way into the nurses' quarters. Hey, didn't the police say...
Would you guarantee the absolute safety of the patient and everyone else?
Yes, Dr. Clay. As soon as the emergency squad gets here, we'll guarantee that without reservation.
I think the surviving nurses here are going to have a major lawsuit on their hands. The cops bust down the door and shoot the guy about 100 times. Yep, he's dead. Fine. The movie was a rushed production, shot in the early 70s in about 2 to 3 weeks. With the rise in popularity of giallo films, there were numerous directors that were doing knockoffs. Writer-director Fernando Di Leo quickly wrote Cold-Blooded Beast. He wrote the screenplay knowing it was absurd, which is why there were things like weapons just out in the open in an insane asylum. He also wanted the audience to think that Klaus Kinski was the killer, since he was known for playing characters that were evil. Beyond that, he was known for being crazy in real life too. He wanted Kinski to be the red herring, but he admitted that he didn't do the best job, and it was obvious that it wasn't him. The idea for the movie was shamelessly ripped off from an Agatha Christie novel. The director read the story, where a guy kills 4 people as a way to cover up the one that he wanted to kill. With this, it was the husband who wanted to murder his wife so he could get full control of their business. The movie has a major thing in common with another film, Thriller: A Cruel Picture. Both movies had hardcore scenes inserted into the films by a third party for foreign distribution. In the French version, there were explicit sex scenes inserted into the film that weren't present in the original Italian version. Someone hired a body double and filmed multiple scenes of hardcore female masturbation as a way to spice up the film. The actresses weren't happy about the hardcore insert shots, but there really wasn't anything that they could do about it. It was then retitled to The Insatiable Erotic Dolls of Dr. Hitchcock. It's also sometimes known as Asylum Erotica. The director admits this is a bad film. Slaughter Hotel is, I have to agree with the director. This is a bad film. Although it is strangely watchable, there's something about it that did keep me interested, besides the obvious. It's interesting to see a movie with Klaus Kinski where he not only isn't crazy, but he's playing it subdued. It's very rare. This is a strange one for giallo. Giallo films are usually sexy, gory, and weird. This one is sexy and weird, but it's just not that gory. There's a little towards the end, but overall, it's not the heavy violence that you would see in something like, well, pretty much anything from Argento. It also wasn't nearly as colorful as your average giallo. The production was rushed, and you can kind of tell because there's not a lot of story. There was, however, a lot of plot. Slaughter Hotel is a ridiculous giallo ripoff of an Agatha Christie novel, with medieval torture devices, tons of nudity, and audio that just cuts in and out for no reason. Although quite possibly the most ridiculous thing in the entire film is friendly, helpful Klaus Kinski.
You must think this is sort of a sideshow, and not the handiwork of a brutal killer, of a sex maniac. You must be crazy.